Hey smartphone enthusiasts, this is Jeff and I've spent a week with the Essential phone. With a ceramic build, titanium frame, and near stock Android, should you be the one who buys this phone? Watch to find out. The first thing that everyone notices on this phone is the big display with minimal bezels. The screen runs pretty close edge to edge, and although it has a chin at the bottom, it still does a really good job of immersing you in content. The LCD panel gets bright enough and doesn't have any major issues aside from a tiny bit of light bleed from the upper left corner. It doesn't have the inky blacks like OLED panels, and I have noticed that the colors do look a little bit more washed out on the Essential phone when compared to some of these other high-end premium smartphones that are on the market today. The notch, or maybe more accurately, the Cyclops eye, extends down into the middle of the top of the screen, but that doesn't really bother me. What I have noticed is the way that the Essential phone brings the Android status bar at the top down to cover the Cyclops eye. And although a lot of apps do a good job of covering it up, it does feel a little bit like wasted space. Apple decided to embrace a notch in the iPhone X, and that helps to bring out that futuristic all-screen look. The extra long status bar isn't a deal breaker, but I wish more apps took advantage of the full screen like Google Maps does. Looking around to the back of the phone, the ceramic back is super reflective and keeping it clean is impossible. But it does look and feel great. I haven't been using a case or a skin, and I already see some scratches forming on the ceramic on the back, so be aware that even ceramic can scratch from normal everyday use. Essential put the fingerprint sensor on the back of the phone and put it right in the middle where it's relatively easy to find with your index finger. I do wish that it was a little bit easier to find, but it does the trick, and I do wish it was a little bit faster, but again, it's not a deal breaker. Essential also implemented the swipe down to open a notifications gesture, which works fairly well, although I do notice I have to kind of swipe down multiple times in order for it to work, and so it's not as reliable as I'd like it to be. The buttons have been clicky and relatively easy to push, but they don't feel as premium as the buttons on more expensive devices like the Note 8 or the iPhone X. The bottom of the phone has the SIM card slot, the USB-C port, and the single downfiring speaker. I think the speaker gets loud enough, but it gets really easy to cover up, especially when I'm watching YouTube videos. So first up, we'll go into the actual Essential phone box. But enough about that, let's just dive right in. The cameras on the Essential phone just aren't good. In a world of Pixel phone, iPhone X, and Samsung Galaxy Note 8, it really doesn't compete with any of those phones or come anywhere close to it. If cameras aren't that big of a deal to you and you don't really take that many photos, or just use them to share on social media, or for quick snapshots, then I think this camera will work for you. But personally, I really think it's the major flaw in an otherwise pretty good device. So far, I've noticed that the Essential phone has pretty good battery life. I've been really happy with it so far, and I expected it to be a little bit shorter just because the phone is on the smaller side with a smaller battery. I do find that standby is also one of the strengths of the Essential phone, and it is a new device, so I do need to test it out a little bit more, but battery life so far, it's pretty good. So the big question remains, should you spend your hard-earned money on the Essential phone? I think that at around $300 to $400, it's a no-brainer unless you need a better camera. Once you get into the $500 range, I think that there's a lot of really good options out there, including the OnePlus 5T, as well as the Samsung Galaxy S8 that does go on sale and gets pretty close to that mark. Overall, I really like the Essential phone, and I find myself picking it up and using it as my daily phone every once in a while because of that near bezel-less display. and because that hardware is so unmatched. It's also one of the only phones I've used recently without a case, and I think that says a lot. Although the ceramic does scratch, and I don't think it'll survive many drops at all, I think that the Essential phone is pretty unique, and I'm looking forward to all of these software updates and the other enhancements that the Essential team will make to the phone in the coming months. But this has been Jeff with Gadget Prime. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more coverage on the Essential phone and all of the other latest smartphones that are out there. Thanks, everyone.